Sports fans, kings, queens, and everything in between, welcome back to the Real Deal Sports Talk Show, brought to you live from the Bobbisox Lounge right here in DeSoto, Texas. Listen, however you're joining us tonight, we want you to continue to follow, like, share, subscribe, and start a watch party with the stream that you see on the screen at RDST Show or the Real Deal Sports Talk Show on YouTube. My name is David J. Harris, and I'm with my esteemed co-host, Mr. Brett B.T. Thompson.
Happy birthday to my distinguished, talented, and beautiful daughter, Jordan Thompson.
Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Jordan.
Love that word.
Mr. LaBrent Sowells.
Shout out to my baby, too. Hey, baby, Lucy. Her birthday is Saturday because we're going to have a show next week, so I won't see her today. So happy birthday to you.
Okay, all right. And Mr. LaClent Sowells. Brand of sports is all gas, no fakes, no breaks, all in your face. Now, fellas, we've started each show today with an NBA topic, and it's because NBA is king right now. It probably should be, NFL training camp if it were up to LaBrent, but they're just not doing a whole lot right now. So we're going to focus on the NBA because that's just what's hot right now. But listen, guys, there are some obvious teams that I want to discuss today, but I want to start with two that one could be a threat to the order that we think is going to go down, and then the other is maybe stumbling a little bit more than what we thought. And I'm talking about the Clippers and the Blazers, guys. They had a head-to-head matchup where the Clippers were just about back at full strength. Lou Williams returned. Montrezl Harrell turned it to the bubble today, so he's got to go through his quarantine period.
4 days.
But the Blazers are that team that, people are kind of want to stay away from, namely one other LA team. But guys, I want to get your thoughts on this weekend, just kind of how they've been playing the Clippers and the Blazers these last few days.
Okay, let me start by saying this. Is everybody sitting here waiting around for the Lakers and Clippers to turn on this beast switch, and then automatically in the playoffs they're just going to run through everyone?
Everybody's waiting because that's exactly what's about to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. Wow. It's not going to happen.
Okay. The Rockets about to do something?
No, because the bubble, let me tell you something. The
forecaster.
The bubble evens the playing field. It evens the playing field simply for the fact that there's no home court advantage. Right. No virtual fans. There's not going to be a virtual, Jack Nicholson at the game to help the Lakers and get everybody pumped up at the Staples Center to get them to push on. No,
it doesn't matter. The best 2 players in the league right now are LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard, and so respectively, yes, it's about the Clippers and Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm confused on how home court advantage. They don't need home court advantage.
Why not?
They're the best 2 players in the league. They're expected to get to the Western Conference Finals and play each other for the right to win the NBA title.
Yeah, BT, I agree with you on the home court advantage. It decides who's the best at that point.
Okay, role players. Okay, and this is the
role players have the worst advantage in the bubble. You're going against, you contradicting yourself.
No, absolutely not.
Role players come into play at home.
I have to disagree because
they play better
because of the role players. Because of the role players is why I think the Clippers might have an edge to come out on top in the West.
Do role players play better at home, or do they play worse on the road?
Worse on the road, probably.
There is no road.
Right.
So that's why I say that the role players are going to play a serious role here in the bubble.
I think you do get maybe a truer sense of who these role players are in the bubble. And I'm not saying more than they would be at home. They probably play even better at home because of the atmosphere. But they're not having to contend, with the crowd, of being on the road and then being kind of breathing down, their necks. I want to say this, about the Blazers. We're watching them. Dame Lillard is going crazy. We know that he and Paul George had this tiff that kind of extends, really beyond, this last game. We know Dame, I guess famously and infamously, depending on who you are, sent Paul George packing, with just a great 3 to end regulation in the playoffs last year as well, OKC.
And he did it to Patrick Beverly
in 2012.
I
know you know.
And so they're both together. Paul George and Pat, they're on social media kind of going back and forth. But let's put the focus on the Blazers. And I don't want to talk about the Lakers too much, but the Blazers look like they're going to have a real chance at taking the 8th seed and kind of controlling it and having to play the Lakers in the first round. I mean, it's been discussed kind of loosely between us. Do you guys think the Blazers can do, I don't want to call it the unthinkable, but do you think they can upset the Lakers? Do you think they have enough, for what it takes? I know you got plenty to say about that.
No.
All right, let's get some sound reasoning behind that for the people, please.
So poignant.
I did one of you. I did one of your moves. Straight up, no. I mean, it's an 8 seed versus a 1 seed. I mean, obviously we all know that Dame is that man, but that man needs that Robin. And he hasn't had that, unfortunately. I mean, we all thought that McCullough would be that guy to take him to where he needs to go, man. He's made multiple deep runs into the playoffs, man, but he just can't get it done. I mean, and he hasn't been in that place of an 8 seed to go against a juggernaut like the Lakers. And again, I know the Lakers are one of the few teams in the NBA that's not averaging 100 points right now, 100 points. But guys, please do not be fooled. Please do not be fooled. AD and LeBron will turn it up on another level when it's time to.
I can't disagree even more. But like what I'm saying is now, I'm saying this. The Lakers aren't a juggernaut. Over the last 5 years, they're going to be one of the softer number 1 seeds. You know what I'm saying? Going back to the the Warriors the last few years. And basically what I'm saying is this. Now, you can basically.
They're not the only juggernaut. I mean, it's LA. It's both LA teams, and then there's everybody else.
Right.
It's the number 1 seed and number 2 seed with the Clippers, and then it's everybody else.
I don't think I
don't
agree with that at all. Now, here's another thing. I agree with you about the role players of the Batmans and the Robins and McCollum. He acts like he wants to be a Batman. I mean, a Robin sometimes, but he's very inconsistent. But Nurkic has picked up where he left off before he got injured. And Nurkic might be a valuable piece, especially to bang with Anthony Davis down low. Yeah. So that's a very that's going to be.
That's what it
is. I think the Lakers play Portland in the first round. It's going 7.
It'll be a fun series, Clint. That's all it'll be.
I mean,
not a W for the Blazers though.
Going 7.
I might have to agree with BT and that ugly chain.
We got to write this one.
That ugly chain he got on.
He agreed with BT.
I'm counting.
Please, because it's not going to happen much. But the Lakers are in big trouble. And here's why. BT, you hit it on the head. They are going to have to deal with a Blazers team who is big, with Nurkic, who is actually playing pretty well on the offense,
very well,
and defensive side of the ball.
Playing very well.
Whiteside, have we forgot about him? Yeah. 2 very big guys. Oh, I'm not finished. Zach Collins,
underrated big,
who's that guy who's going to get those 50-50 balls from the boards? Man, listen, and this is, believe it or not, this is Los Angeles' weakness. When it comes to outside of AD, because you want AD more on the offensive end than the defensive end. And so if you're the Lakers, what do? And so it's going to come down to a 6-7 games.
Have you ever known LeBron James to not have his Robin, which he has, and he still failed to get the job done?
Yes.
When have you known him to...
Oh, well, go ask me. You ask the wrong person. I mean, he did it against Kyrie Irving and lost.
He did it with Kyrie Irving?
Yeah.
Right. He has somebody, but he hasn't been by himself. He has another player. When he gets that other player, when he has that other Robin, when he has that other great player like AD, he's able to get a lot of stuff done.
Well, look, I think that, again, we're going to talk about the Lakers in a few, but I think the Blazers have a legitimate chance to challenge the Lakers for that upset. And honestly, if they get in, and that matchup happens, don't be surprised if they take them. And I'm saying that as unbiased as I can. But I want to go from one team in the West and maybe go to a team in the East, Clint, that I think they may be getting overlooked just a little bit. We know that the Bucks have the reigning MVP in Giannis. And we know that the Raptors are the reigning champs and have been playing pretty well. Why aren't we really talking about Boston You know, they started their first game in the bubble against Milwaukee. BT, we talked about this bogus call that was overturned with Giannis. He should have been fouled out. And Boston probably should have won that game. They didn't come out at least like I thought they would, but they actually played them pretty well. That call really turned the game on his head. But guys, they've beat the Raptors. I mean, when I say beat them, they've blown them out.
Yeah.
And they've really been playing well. They're coached really well. Are we not giving Boston enough love? Are we kind of overlooking them? Kemba Walker, he's starting to look like himself, you know, the last game that they played as well. Should we be giving Boston a little bit more attention?
Absolutely. Kemba Walker is only going to get better.
Right.
You know, and Kemba Walker is a closer, and that's what Boston needs. At the end of the game, when it's time, when the money's on the line, someone to put the ball in their hands. Tatum might not be ready for that yet, you know, but Kemba is. He's proven, battle-tested on every level of the game. So,
Not every level, but
every level.
What you mean by every level?
NBA, college, high school.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about different levels in the NBA, like postseason, maybe conference finals. So let's not get too much excited about Kemba Walker, who might not even be in your top 10 point guard list.
Here we go.
So
I'm not.
Stay on topic. Stay on topic.
So I have to say, I said this last show, Dave. Continuity is very big.
Okay.
And with the Celtics, you're starting to see that now.
Yeah.
You're starting to see continuity because you got very good players. This is one of the few teams where across the board, outside their center, you got Brown, you got Tatum, you got Walker, and so together they're playing pretty good ball. And so I think they're actually a dark horse who could challenge the Bucks.
All right. Well, speaking of dark horses, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a team in the West that is the darkest of dark, so dark they're purple, which so happens to be one of their colors. And I'm talking about the Phoenix Suns. Guys, after their game today, they played OKC today. OKC rested 4 of their starters, so I'll put that out there. The Suns are 6-0 in the bubble, and they have some quality wins over teams like the Clippers, you know, who we're talking about, you know, as one of the juggernauts, you know, in the West. They've beaten Indy, you know, that has TJ Warren, who's I don't know if he's reinvented himself or he got a cheat code or I don't know what it is, but he's balling as well. Even beat our Mavs by 2 points after the Mavs should have beat them. But we'll catch them again in 2 games. Shut up,
That's
DT.
the story of our life. 2-game loss.
The Phoenix Suns could very well put themselves in position to, I would say at minimum, make a play in this play-in game with maybe the Blazers. How you guys feeling about the Suns and their chances of maybe sneaking into the playoff party in the West?
Well, I go first. I mean, they got the Blazers in front of them.
Yeah.
And then in front of them they have Memphis.
Yeah. Memphis is
and how many games? How many games is left?
It's two
on
average. 2
on
games.
average 2 games, maybe 3 for some teams, but it's not a matter of I think it's one of them too little too late type of things, because I don't see the Blazers losing, and with that Grizz loss that could have got them clinched the 8th seed. I don't know if they're depressed or if they're fired up. We don't know till the next game, right? And so if you got 2 teams who might be fighting, and I think it might be too little too late, Dave, for the Suns.
Okay. I mean, that's one side of it.
I think they're definitely Cinderella, and 12 o'clock is coming, and their season will turn into a straight up pumpkin pretty soon. And whether it's it ends before the play-in game or not, and I don't think they're gonna get in, because I think if they do get in, I think that's who the Lakers want to play. Right. You know, and I think their season will end in a sweep, and if they get in. But I don't think that they'll have the firepower to beat the Blazers in a play-in game. And talk about somebody with the game on the line, on who wants the ball with the game on the line. I trust Dame Lillard with the game on the line in a play-in game.
Right.
Well, first of all, the Lakers, it doesn't matter who the Lakers play.
If they play the Mavs, they'll be out 4-game sweep. Yeah.
No. But the Phoenix Suns is classic backs against the wall. You don't have anything to lose. How they playing right now? I mean, and that's why I can't get off this Lakers thing, man. The Lakers got the number 1 seed, just sewn up. I mean, come on, there's no risk there.
Let's talk about the Lakers then.
Yeah,
you keep bringing them up.
I segued
It's something.
that thing.
It's something on your heart, something on your mind. Masterfully, I'll give you that.
Yes, very much so.
I'm looking at a Lakers team that, okay, give them credit. Sold up the number 1 seed, did exactly what Vegas said they would do. Let's give them credit for that.
You say we wouldn't do it.
Moving right along, let's see how they're playing. Currently 2-4 in the bubble.
All this talk before even happened before the bubble.
We're in the bubble now. That's
Now we're in this bubble. Everybody all of a sudden, the Lakers don't have a shot.
Dave,
nobody
before
said
you
it.
finish.
Nobody said they had a shot.
Before you finish, Dave,
Okay.
why are people acting like the bubble is like preseason to football or to basketball? These are not preseason games.
No,
bro.
they're not. It's not even close.
It feels like a preseason. It's a restart. These guys had about a month or so off.
Hey, these games are controlling seeding.
These are actual games, bro.
Very intense. Playoff intensity out there.
Like, it's not playing any intensity.
I know.
Yeah, we agree with you 100%.
They got it in
That's the reason
reverse.
why.
They got it in reverse, and they're trying to back into the playoffs. That never goes well.
It never
goes well in any sport.
If you're a Laker fan, I need you to know this, okay? The games that the starters, the horses are playing, I mean, I'm looking at I'm looking at production that is just subpar. Okay, we're talking about one time they shot 50% from the field in the bubble. We're talking about they've shot less than 15% from the three-point line, not one time, but 2 times. All right. AD has struggled mightily in the bubble. Came out like, he was just going to go crazy and be the MVP. People were arguing that should be the MVP for the Lakers. And then all of a sudden, I don't want to say he's shrinking. I think he's had some bad games. But it's time to show up, dude. Like, LeBron is not winning this championship without AD showing up.
They're going to use the 1-8 matchup to start revving it.
Okay.
I've seen this before. You guys have seen this before.
Okay.
The number 1 seeds slack off towards the end of the season, then they use that first game. I mean, even the Golden State Warriors, with their dominant teams that they've had over the last couple seasons, would lose by the first game of the playoffs, maybe have a close game in the second. They use that game
But
to
I
kind
think
of
you
rev up to get themselves ready.
But I think you misunderstand what we are saying, at least what me and David said. What we're saying, and maybe BT, is that the Lakers aren't dominant. That 1 seed is normally, or a lot of times, like the Golden State Warriors. They're a dominant team where you say, I don't care who plays them. They're going to win. And so the question is, are the Lakers that dominant team this year?
Lakers have y'all right where they want.
Okay.
That's how a lot of teams are thinking right now. They're going to come in with a whole different playing game. It ain't going to work.
They got guys. I mean, let me tell you something. They got guys that are injured, like in Rondo, and they got guys like J.R. Smith, who is only logging games in garbage time.
These are vets. These are vets that's ready to. That's been to the postseason. That's been to the finals. Green, Jeff. Who did you just say?
J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. These guys have been.
Dwight around your lips.
Cook's been there. Say what?
Dwight around your lips.
But these guys are veterans. Their whole team is made up of veterans. The only person that really hasn't made that deep type of run that's on that team really is AD.
Is AD.
Yeah.
But he has the natural ability and the skill to turn it on.
I think the Lakers' weakness is perimeter defense, and it's gonna bite them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's gonna end their run, but it's gonna bite them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna show up here in the playoffs. I promise you.
Yeah, no Avery Bradley. That's gonna
Bradley.
hurt.
There's another team that struggles with perimeter defense, but they don't struggle on the offense, as they are putting out one of the most historic offenses ever in NBA history.
Ever.
And that's your Dallas Mavericks. Had a big win today over the Utah Jazz, and I'm not going to harp on that win much. Utah played their starters in the first half, didn't really play them in the second half. The Mavs set KP and Luka. They still figured out how to have their biggest comeback, being down 22 and winning the game. But, guys, they had a big win against the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday night. The second win of the season against the Bucks. It just seems like maybe we have the Bucks number. But, man, we call that a sweep. We call that a sweep. But just really proud of how the Mavs took care of business. That was only their second win in the bubble. Let me be very transparent. They've been off to a really weird start.
2-4.
All of their games have been by a possession. And the Clippers win was the only one, where the Mavs really got outplayed. But let me ask you guys this.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't outplayed in that first game for sure against the Rockets. But let me ask you guys, and maybe not BT, because I know he's just going to talk about the Rockets. So I'll just let him talk about the Rockets to finish it out.
To the Rockets.
Brent, how we feeling about the Mavs after a quality win against the Bucks? They also beat the Kings, which was a pretty good game. We feel like they should have took care of that game. How you feel about them beating the Bucks the way they did?
I'm that MFLL fan.
MFFL, Math Fan for Life, for those who don't know. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a MFCFL.
What is
Got
that?
a lot of letters.
Or K. I said it wrong.
Man.
KMFL.
Just say what you mean. You killing the acronym.
Mavs fan, kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
I teeter back and forth. I love the Mavs. I'm from Dallas. I love the Mavs. I'm that type of guy where if you guys don't believe me, I will root for the Mavs. With Kobe not in it right now, RIP, I will root for the Mavs. Now, if the Mavs go down, it's all about the Lakers for me. Straight up Lakers, King James. I mean, impressive win. I was upset. You knew this before when I first found out that Carlisle was benching KP and he was benching Luka with a chance for us to get to the 6th seed, because God knows we stay in that 7 hole, we have no chance to move forward. But we have a chance against Denver, the Rockets, anybody else in the Western Conference besides the Lakers and the Clippers. We have a really good shot at doing that. But through some interviews, through Carlisle coming out and speaking after the game, I really found out a lot about what that was about, and he explained that obviously we want the NBA frowns upon benching your starters in national televised games,
Which is up next.
which is up next against the Portland Blazers. So good call. We squeezed it out. We needed that. It was a really good win. I'm just frustrated because when you see players like Tim Hardaway, we see players like Seth Curry do what they do, you kind of wonder, why do they go disappearing, in games where Luka and KP are playing?
Well, you got to keep in mind that Luka is 21.
21.
So I'm excited about the very near future of the Mavs,
Like
because
next season near.
right, because that's what separates, right, guys? That's what separates very, very good players from like these stars like LeBron James, who knows how to not only win it on your own shoulders, but how to get everybody involved and make everybody around you better. That's the next level for Luka, right? And so I'm also excited because now that means that we swept the Bucks. That means if we get to the NBA Finals, we're gonna meet the Bucks. I don't see why we not champions.
I think you're getting a little.
He's talking about the Mavs.
I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself. I love
Yes,
the
I'm talking about the
enthusiasm.
Mavs.
But look,
Hey, we do have the Bucks over though. So
look, we do have the number.
Bucks too.
We had a number. Giannis actually fouls out this game. The refs don't keep him in. We caused the Bucks to almost double the turnover margin. They had 13 turnovers. Mavs had 7. Luka gets hated for this highlight. That if we have time, I'll talk about it. But I want to make sure I give BT fair enough time. With this.
Can I
Rockets
say something about
talk.
No, before we talk to Rockets, can I talk to Mavs?
we gotta go somewhere else.
I don't care. Let me tell you something. The Mavs are only gonna go as far as they can, as well as they close out games.
Sure.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I don't disagree.
If they struggle with closing out games, they're not. They're gonna finish in the 7th spot, and they're gonna get smashed by LA in the first round. Now, if they close out like today, they did. They were down by like 30-something points or whatever
22.
it was, and then and they closed out. But that wasn't. That's a different situation. Because Luka and KP wasn't playing, and their guys weren't playing in the second half when they came back.
Bunch of reserve.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is, does Luka have the maturity to be able to close out games? Is he a closer yet? And I think that's the biggest question mark on his head.
And there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah, a lot of question marks
When it comes down to
about
Luka,
some team.
21, he has a lot of time, a lot of question marks, but there's not more question marks right now than the Washington Redskins.
Man.
There's no more question marks than that team right there. I'm sorry, apologies. The Washington team.
The football team.
Yeah, Washington football team.
I'm sorry, I do apologize. Apologize about that. The Washington is habit, right?
Right.
The Washington team
Football team.
The latest news. Darius Juice, who I call him Darius Juice Geis.
Juice.
Yeah, I always say because when I first heard his name,
Right.
before I heard his name, I'd say, "Oh, his name is Juice." I always from that point on, I call him Darius Juice Geis.
That's your problem. You had no business picking him.
Right, exactly. For Geis, unfortunately for the Washington team, he was arrested on domestic violence charges and later released from the team. I'm appreciative of what Ron Rivera. He's been on point since taking over.
That 1,000 so far.
Right, on handling things swiftly and quickly. He should be the commissioner of the NFL because he does a better job than Goodell does. But again, he did say it was a tough decision. But it was a necessary one. But again, this falls, and BT, I'll let you say so. This falls right into Goodell's lap again because again, this came up, charges came up, and incidents came up back 3 months ago. And just now the NFL is deciding to act. Well, Washington is deciding to act on it, which prompted the NFL to step in as well. So
That's why I don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like when things go down that are very, I know the situation isn't exactly the same. Like when guys are, when it looks like they're guilty, right. Teams usually cut bait. Like Ray. Well, no, Ray Rice. They didn't cut bait. They cut bait after the video came
right.
out. Yeah. I mean, like Aaron Hernandez. Now, that's when the charges. I mean, he was cut before it was announced that the charges were pending, and then so like that. I mean,
there was an investigation done, and all that was done before we even.
Right. So why is it okay now that charges are now being announced? Now they want to cut bait. So I mean that smells a little fishy to me.
It does smell fishy, but Dave, I feel like there's so many things that's happened, right? From the controversial name and logo, from a dozen female
Scandal.
Scandal with a dozen female, and then you get guys with this domestic violence, man.
Right.
I mean, where does Washington really stand?
It's a tumble that seems like it's just never going to end. It's the snowball that's turning in, to an even bigger snowball. It's gonna take anything out that's in his way. There's a dark cloud over the Washington franchise that I think is not leaving anytime soon. It's gonna take them maybe winning some games at some point for people to even stop thinking about, what
It's
they're
gonna
going
take
through.
Jerry to do something crazy.
Well, speaking of Jerry, who used to have Red J, Jason Garrett, coaching this football team now in New York. There seems to be a little bit bubbling with New York as well as Quentin Dunbar. He's in a bit of trouble. He's in a bit of trouble with the 4 counts of robbery and a firearm. With the firearm, I'm sorry.
The firearm stuff happens in New York.
And
Yeah.
it's
it's legal. I know.
we didn't learn from Plax, I guess. But you guys know this guy's gets convicted. He's looking at 10 years minimum.
Right.
He's looking at 10 years minimum time.
Right, because you grew up in Texas, Brent. And then when there's gun charges in Texas, the judge is like, "No, don't do it again, boy.
Yeah.
Keep that gun under, keep it tight and locked up. But that's about it. Go on about your business." That's how we do it. That's how we handle gun charges in Texas.
Right.
But in New York, it is the opposite. They do not play with gun charges. I mean, you have to have ridiculous licenses and meet standards for to carry weapons. But this dude, this is the guy. This is the guy that was. These are the charges. The robbery charges. They stem from the Florida incident, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so he might have a better chance down there.
Yeah.
But he's still facing some deep trouble. I don't understand these young guys and the things that they're doing. We're supposed to be quarantining.
Yeah.
What were y'all doing at that party with the guns and everything? And why do you go to a place a party where you need guns?
And I just caught myself. It's actually Quentin Dunbar. Actually, he's not being charged. It's actually DeAndre Baker who was with him. Their first round draft pick in New York. He's the one that's being charged. So definitely don't want to mix that up. It's a lot of maybe negative things going on in the NFC East, but for once, the Cowboys are on the good side with one of LaClent's favorite players, Mr. Dak Prescott, out
the
there.
Robo don't play for them no more.
Out there fighting a good fight.
I mean, he is. Dak Prescott is starting to become that guy on and off the field. I mean, he's kind of been that guy on the field, but off the field, man, he's really stepping up. You can look at me like that all you want. He's stepping up and really being that guy. He started off, he gave, $1 million? Dak gave $1 million for the cause, right?
Mm-hmm. The cause is police training.
That's severely needed.
Oh,
That's one of the
okay.
We have to work together in this thing, BT. Okay? We got to work together in this thing. And now he writes another to the Oklahoma attorney. Is it the attorney? No, the governor.
To his governor, yep.
Writes an attorney. Now, okay, I did kind of want to slow my horses on this one.
Okay.
Because I got really confused here.
Okay.
Because the first thing hit my mind was, is Julius Jones, is he innocent or is he guilty? Because, I mean, there's a lot of players trying to back up Julius Jones from something he actually, and every evidence that I've read goes to him being guilty, all but his mama, who says that he was playing Monopoly when he died.
The thing is, there was a piece that ran on 2020 last year. We know that's basically a docu-series on ABC that kind of uncovered some evidence that is at least putting the conviction in question. Right. This guy's been in jail since 1999. He's been on death row. It's 21 years of his life. He's never going to get back. I don't know if you guys saw Just Mercy, the movie Jamie Foxx did in just not the same crime, but some parallels in how there are many, let's just call it what it is, a bunch of black men incarcerated in prison that are wrongfully accused. We don't know what the outcome will be of Julius Jones yet, but Dak definitely seems convinced based on some of the things that have been coming out.
Other athletes as well.
Yeah, and other athletes, many athletes.
Many
a lot of
celebrities.
celebrities, a lot of
Kim
alumni.
Kardashian.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the things that I've seen that stood out on me is that he was he pled not guilty, right? And his one of his buddies actually testified against him, said that he was the shooter, and for a reduction of sentence, right? And that's a killer. Right. And the prosecutor that prosecuted him at that time had sent more people to death row than any other prosecutor in the nation. And it seems like they and he had a public defender, and it seemed like they over prosecuted and rushed him through the system. That's what I'm getting from it. I'm not 100% sure on the story, but the digging that I have done, that it shows that he could have been there, but I'm not convinced that he shot and killed that man.
Who knows?
I think he was at the wrong place at the right time. That's from all the research that I've done. That's what I think happened. Could be wrong, but more so to Dak, I think he is finding that Cowboys off the field role, and he's really taking advantage of it. I just need him to do the same thing on the field.
Well, I'm glad he's taking advantage of his platform. I think many fans in Cowboy Nation have been kind of wanting to see Dak, the face of the franchise, kind of step up in this regard.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But again, Dak, bringing it back to Dak, right? Because I don't want to spend too much time on Julius Jones because it's really about what Dak is able to do. And I'm just hoping that he's creating another type of platform for NFL players. I'm talking about A-list players. Right. Because there's a lot of B and C-list players that go out doing things, but being vocal. I'm talking about to the point to where it's on Time Magazine, things like that. Now, I don't know if it's because of the star on his helmet. I don't know if the Houston Texans quarterback, I don't know if he can go out and do the same thing and get the same kind of awareness or attention. He won't? Okay. But Dak Prescott is using the star, using whatever he has to use to create a sense of urgency. Why are you looking at me like that, bro?
Because you made a ridiculous comment about Deshaun Watson.
I'm just saying he don't have starters in him, so it's kind of hard to judge that.
It's a small one on the bull. It's just it's ever so small star, big star.
Oh, it is a star on the Bulls.
You do have a star.
Go ahead.
But again, I like you said at the beginning, all praises to Dak. He's doing nothing. He's making nothing but the right moves right now. Even when it comes down to financially, he's making the right moves, doing stuff for himself. Now, I want to switch gears here for a little bit.
Switch it up.
We got time before the break, right?
Absolutely.
We still got time?
Absolutely.
All right. What we want to do, so Facebook, YouTube, every single week moving forward now, we're going to do a divisional preview, NFL preview. And we're going to start with, the AFC and the NFC. And it's going to be either East, West, South, you name it. What we're going to do. But today, what we're working on is the AFC and NFC West. And I hate to put y'all on the spot, but this is how it's going to roll.
Let's do it.
Right? Because this is real quick, too.
Okay.
So I'm going to give a team.
All right.
Right? And I'm going to go last, but I'm going to give a team. And basically, I want you to give me the reason or how, in a sentence or so, how can they be the number one team in that division?
Okay.
Right? But I'm going to set the stage for you. All right? I'm going to set the stage for you. We're going to start with none other than the Super Bowl champions.
I think this will be quick.
AFC West, Chiefs, 12-4 in the regular season. We don't have to give, we all know what happens in the postseason.
Right.
But the regular season, 12-4, they got the MVP. Clint, we'll start with you.
I think they just keep doing what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how they're going to stay on top and pretty much be the winners of the next couple of years.
Show up to the bus on time.
There you
That's
go.
it.
There you go.
If I remember correctly, aren't they returning? Is it 20 or 21 starters
Yes.
from last year between
Yes.
offense and
21.
defense?
20, we have one
Yeah.
opt that out.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, he did. So, it seems like they would have a pretty good handle on that division at minimum.
Okay. You too, BT?
Yeah. Show up to the bus on time. You don't oversleep. Make sure you don't have an iPhone alarm. That's all.
Whoa.
What they remind me of is the LA Rams when the Rams had those explosive offenses back to back.
Greatest show on turf.
Yes, great show on turf. I feel like though that something could change, and they need that other player other than Cheetah and other than Patrick Mahomes. I think they need that other player to step up, and I think that's Hartman. Somebody that averaged 21 yards per reception last year. I think he takes that next leap to being that other number 2 guy that's going to really, keep them at that number 1 spot in
I
AFC
will say
West.
this though. This is why we love the NFL. We think it should go like it should go.
Yeah.
But there's always something that changes.
AFC West still, Broncos.
Broncos, for them to win. I mean,
7-9 last year.
I'm not a big fan in Drew Lock, but it seems like he's locked into the starting position for a quarterback. And BT, you know what I always say. You are only as good
That's your quarterback.
as your quarterback.
Right.
So I don't think they even have a chance.
I think their defense would have to play lights out. The jury is out on Lock at quarterback. They made a pretty significant upgrade at running back this year. Mm-hmm. Y'all remember what running back they got in free agency?
Mr. Gordon.
There we go. Melvin Gordon is out there. I think the offense will be whatever it's going to be based on how Lock dictates that offense. I think their defense is going to have to play lights out, though, for them to win the division.
Drew Lock, I can say, I want to say I don't believe in him, but he came into Reliance Stadium and spanked the Texans last year.
Right.
And then they've added weapons,
Yep.
speed
Yep.
on the outside, and I think that if they catch that lightning in a bottle, they can. I mean, they're gonna have to go to to Kansas City and win. They're going to have to go to Kansas City and win. There's no way around it, and they're gonna have to pretty much sweep everybody else. But I don't think they'll sweep everybody else. But I think they'll sweep the Raiders. I think, but going to LA and beating the Chargers will be tough for them.
Right.
But I think if they're dominant in the division, yeah, I like Denver.
Drew Lock is the lock. Came in 5 games. The last 5 games, he had over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Came, like you say, he set Texans on fire with that defense, with that Texans defense. He's a lock. Trust me, I'm trying to tell you.
It sounded like that Locke and Sutton might have something there. Yeah, I like that. I agree. Let's move this way. I want to go this way first.
Okay.
L.A. Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Not the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas.
Oh,
Raiders.
wait a minute. L.A. Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, unless you're talking about the Chargers.
I meant the Chargers, but we'll stay with the Raiders then.
All right,
Yeah, I called them Oakland a few seconds ago.
Right.
The Raiders, they need prayer. I think to win the West. Absolutely.
They were 7-9 last year.
Okay, that's fine.
You feel a certain way about their quarterback.
Yeah,
They got
yeah. We're gonna talk about if Derek Carr is the starting quarterback for the Raiders for 16 games, they have no chance. He is a dink and dunk quarterback.
Yeah.
You know,
He got benched multiple times last year.
Now they drafted Ruggs.
Yeah, they did.
Ruggs was my favorite wide receiver in the draft. That dude is a monster. He is an athletic freak who has ridiculous speed to go with it.
All gas.
Yeah, all gas.
All gas.
And he could, if they use him right, which I'm not confident in John Gruden.
I was just about to
And if they use him right, dump off, screens, slants, and goals, man, they might be able to do a little damage. They might be able to creep up 8-8.
Okay.
I think old coach John Chucky Gruden, we're going to have to see probably some sort of monumental offense, that he creates this year with guys like Ruggs. I think he's been a decent coach in his career. There's always talk about how he kind of came in on the coattails of I don't know why.
Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy, thank you. Came in on the coattails of him and got that Super Bowl at Tampa Bay and just really hadn't done anything. He's been the quarterback whisperer and this, that, and the other. Haven't really seen him take a team like he's going to have right now and really do something. So I think it's going to take a monumental production year from their offense and maybe Jason Witten turning back the clock 15 years or so. Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're years away from being competitive in the division. However, I will say this: Derek Carr isn't the worst starting quarterback in the league. I think that if he can find a way, and this is a perfect opportunity in a new city, you know what I'm saying, it's just a new environment. If he can reach back to like 4 or 5 years ago where he's had an average over 4,000 yards, and then I think 4 or 5 years ago he had 32 touchdowns. That was that one big year where he was a top 10 quarterback. If he can find a way to reach back to that, they might have a shot. But again, that's a long shot.
I see the Raiders being last year. I could easily see the Raiders being the last year's Tennessee Titans because they have that formula. They have that formula now with Josh Jacobs. I think he takes that next level, that next step. He had over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns last year. Was hurt though, but if he can stay healthy, I think he'll keep defenses honest and give people like Ruggs and Carr that opportunity to connect a little bit more, but keep that 8 in the box type situation, because if he can have that type of explosiveness that he has, and not to mention the guy in the backfield can receive over 8 yards per receiving yards per once he catches that ball, he's gone.
Yep.
It's a wrap for him. So I think if he can take that next level, like I think he can, I think the Raiders do have a shot.
The Raiders can go on the road for 2 playoff games and win. That's what you're saying. Well, they're not going to win the division. We know they're not going to be better than Kansas City.
The question is, what will it take for them to win the division?
What would it take for them to win the division?
They would be in position.
Prayers up. That's what this is all about. And we move to the last one, the Chargers. Yeah. Now we're talking about LA, right? The new LA Chargers, BT.
Right.
I believe in Anthony Lynn. I do. And I guess that's just me flexing my black card. But I believe his philosophy and what he's going to do with that defense. That Oregon Duck quarterback, I didn't like that pick at all. Yeah, I did not like him at all.
I like him.
I wanted Cam Newton to go there. I really wanted Cam Newton to go there.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a perfect match for him. But for them to win the division, I think it's going to take a lot. Young quarterbacks, playing over their head, not making a lot of mistakes, and the defense playing lights out.
Yep.
Without having to wish COVID on the other 3 teams in that division, it's going to take an act of God for the Chargers to win that particular division. I know Bosa just got his new money, and that's a big piece, on their defense. And their defense has played well in spots. But I just think it's too many young pieces on the team. But hey, an act of God, sure. The Chargers could win that way. Absolutely.
I like Herbert. I think he's a NFL quarterback. He's the prototype, build, and I think he has the physique to make those right passes. But here's the question: who's starting? Is it Herbert or is it Tyrod Taylor? And so,
Tyrod not starting nowhere. This probably the first game, so something like that. But no.
yeah.
But look, I want you guys on Bosa, right? But you guys forgetting one person who's back or who could take this defense to being number 1 or number 2 in the entire league, and that's Darren James.
Yeah.
Out of Florida State.
That's a big piece.
This is a huge piece.
Right.
The guy that can cover any tight end, can cover receivers. He can play box safety. He can play out. He can play cover 1.
What was his
Doesn't
injury?
matter.
What was his injury?
I don't remember.
ACL, I think ACL or
ACL?
Achilles.
Yeah, whatever. It took him out for the whole entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's back though.
Hit the next division quick.
Okay, quick guys. I'm talking about quick. Four words how they can win, right? And I hate to do this because I love this division so much. Right. Starting with San Francisco, NFC West. Dave, go.
There's everything about the history of the NFL that says they're not supposed to make the playoffs this year as the runner-up as the Super Bowl. But I think San Francisco can do a lot of what they did last year. They're going to win the division again.
I think Kittle sets tight end records.
Ooh, I love Kittle.
Back in the same spot.
This is the flat out the roughest division in football.
Man.
I mean, by far.
All three teams over 500.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah.
I mean, I expect. Okay, I need to get on San Francisco. I was going to talk about the other teams, but let me talk about San Francisco. But I disagree with Clint. I think Kittle's is going to regress. I think teams. He's no longer taking teams by surprise. And I think Garoppolo is going to struggle this year.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for them to repeat as the division champions, but I don't see it happening.
I'm aligned with Dave. I think Super Bowl hangover. I mean, 8 out of the last 10, Super Bowl losers have not made the postseason, and the 2 that did were the Patriots. So good luck with that. Clint, Seahawks.
Man, an already solid team with Russell Wilson. You give them, you help them out on defense with Adams.
Oh,
and then
my
you
God.
And then you add Reed. Which is not many people talking about that. But if Reed is healthy,
That's true.
That could be a big difference. So I have Seattle coming in second in the division.
I think Reed in spots definitely makes Seattle better. I think DK Metcalf, if he takes a step this season and builds on how he finished last season, and by the way, if Antonio Brown ends up there for the back half of the season, yikes.
I'm scared.
Like
Go ahead,
Megatron,
BT.
too.
Yeah, I like Seattle. I really do. I believe in Russell Wilson. I think he's the best general in the NFL. When it comes to leading the troops, I think he's the guy. You know what I'm saying? I think this is their division to lose.
I agree.
This year, and I fully expect them to win it.
Dave, I'm with you again. You keep taking these words out of my mouth.
Will you let me go before?
I do. Metcalf, he takes that next step on offense. It's a wrap, man. I'm trying to tell you, this guy is a freak of nature on offense. And then you add Adams, the Legion of Boom is back. I mean, come on, that's Pete Carroll. You give Pete Carroll an inch, he's going to take the mile. Sure. That's all he needs right there, all right? Hey, BT, Rams.
Rams, my dark horse. I believe I think the Rams are gonna kind of, people have written them off because they had the Super Bowl hangover and fell off. Yep. But I believe in their offensive philosophy, and I think Goff gets a bad rap. I think he's a good NFL quarterback. He was an MVP candidate, so I expect them. I don't know if their defense is gonna be able to hold up. I love Aaron Donald, of course. Yeah. I think that dude's a monster. I mean, he's next level. But everyone else around him, okay. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a lot of when J.J. Watt was in his prime. We had good people around him, but not enough just to take us over the top. So I like the Rams, but for them to win it all, I think that offense is going to have to come back to prominence. I think their head coach and offensive coordinator, he's going to have to pull some tricks out the bag.
I got the key to the offense part. Watch this. Go ahead, Clint.
I think the Rams find themselves in the wild card, actually.
Okay. Why?
I think they could find themselves going back to some type of dominance with Cooper Kupp and the rest of that offense with Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is a top 15 quarterback. Maybe even better, maybe top 12, maybe. I don't know. But I think that, and then the defense is underrated. They have a solid defense led by Aaron Donald. So I think they can I don't think they're going to win the division, but I think they can get to the wild card.
Rams simply have to be that kind of unguardable offense that they were 2 or 3 seasons ago. I think that's really the only way they're going to win this division, which is basically stacked.
Mm-hmm. It starts with the Gurley replacement. Yeah. When they lost Gurley, or when Gurley was hurt, this is when they offense sputtered. Right. They think they found that in Cam Akers, drafted in the second round, right? That's the guy that they think that has that same kind of motor that can get it done. I don't think he can be as good as Gurley. He's a rookie. We don't know. But I think he plays well. He comes out the box shooting. They can get that offense back. All right, Clint. Cards. This is going to be fun. Watch this.
Yeah, it is going to be very fun because as good as they got and everybody they got, they still going to come last in the division.
Whoa. Well, how are they going to win it?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll tell you what I think. I think Kyler Murray probably has to be like an MVP candidate this year for them to win. And I think your boy Nuke Hopkins is going to be a big recipient of why
Too soon.
Of why that may be a discussion to have towards the end of the season.
That's going to be a good combo.
All right.
Don't take too long on this one, Rob. We know you hurt.
1 minute.
Are you crying? Are you a little watery? You a little watery eyed.
Houston, Texas fan, y'all. He's still hurt. Hurt.
Okay. Cardinals. I think they're ready to take the next step. Depends on Kenyon Drake. He flashed. He did really well there last season. But running backs don't last long. Yeah. Larry Fitzgerald still has gas in the tank.
Man.
But I think his most value is his wisdom and his and what he has, what he brings to mentoring Kyler Murray. And they have this other wide receiver that's pretty good. Yeah, number 10. And he's probably the best wide receiver in the league, pound for pound. When it comes to throwing the ball, great catch radius.
Number 2.
Great instinct, great high point of the ball. And people say his yards after catch is very sneaky, very underrated. And Cowboys know about his yards after catch. After those spins,
Finish your point.
Y'all
Not talking about the Texans, right?
And, I think, what it'll take. I agree with Dave. Kyler Murray's going to have a monster here. 5,000 yard monster.
So. He has no choice but
Dallas Fort Worth brought up. Go ahead.
Look, I think there's 2 things when it comes down to the cards for me. I think, first of all, if Larry Fitzgerald is your 3rd best receiver,
I think you're in good shape.
You in great shape. He's your 3rd. For years he's been number 1, then he slipped down to number 2, but he's like your go-to. Right. But he's not that. Yeah. With the emergence of Kirk now having the season that he did, and then you got Nook, it's a wrap. So when you talk about Murray, he needs to do less. Less in this situation next year would be more for him, because he's a 1-read, tuck it and go. He's trying to make the play and find a move. He does not stay in that pocket. If he can get to that level where he's able to stay in the pocket, is Bruce still there? No. Bruce is in Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry. But who's there now? Anyway, doesn't matter. But if Mary, I was trying to find out who's mentoring this guy. Maybe Fitzgerald could tell. If he can just stay in their pocket for maybe a second or 2 longer and find the open guy and make the correct reads, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, he's gonna do some damage.
Let me jump real quick back on that. That was one of the biggest knocks on Deshaun Watson, holding the ball too long. Holding the ball too long because he's waiting for Nuke to get open.
Exactly.
And that's a double-edged sword.
It is.
It leads to big plays, but it also leads to sacks.
Right. But he doesn't have to wait for Nuke to get open, not with the type of weapons that he has right now.
I think Murray has a sophomore slump.
Oh wow.
That could happen. That is something that is very evident with
but
quarterbacks.
He likes Hibbert.
Yeah, he does. Quarterbacks coming into their second season. We know Kyler Murray had a great college career, finishing it out with Oklahoma. So we're going to talk college a little bit coming out of the
I got
break.
a few things to say.
Listen, if you guys haven't noticed, we're trying to be a little bit more interactive within the show. If you take a look at the chat right now, I know I'm kind of going back and forth with a couple people, and we have the lovely, my wife, Mrs. Robin Harris. She's also monitoring the chat. So if you guys are chatting, you say something that's worth putting on the show, she's going to let us know, jumping right in. We're going to jump on your point. So please go ahead and talk in the chat. You got something on your mind or something that you're reacting to, go ahead and get in there. Listen, we get ready to go to break. We're going to take about a 3.5 to 4 minute break. We'll come right back. Clint, I need to know how you feel about this coaches poll for the NCAA Top 25, the NCAA season that may or may not happen. We'll see when we get back at RDST, the show. Hit us up. Back to the Real Deal Sports Talk Show, brought to you live from the Bobbisox Lounge, right here in DeSoto, Texas. Listen, we appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. Whatever you're doing, however you're doing this, make sure you continue to follow, like, share, subscribe, and the watch party with the stream that you see on the screen. What's that? At RDST Show on Facebook and the Real Deal Sports Talk Show on Facebook. Clint, NCAA, the football season.
Yeah.
It should start feeling like, we're getting ready to get back into it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of in question, but they still do these polls.
Yeah, the football season is definitely in question for the NCAA, but guess what? That did not stop the Coaches Poll top 25. And listen, guys, without a doubt, the top 5, it wasn't no surprises there, except for one. So let's talk about that, guys. You have Clemson at number 1. You got Ohio State at number 2, Alabama at 3, Georgia at 4, and LSU wraps up the top 5. That's 3 SEC teams in the top 5, which is incredible. But this is what I want to talk to you guys about. What are your thoughts? Because obviously LSU wins the national BCS championship with Burrow. LSU, and Brent predicted it the whole way. I mean, they had a phenomenal season, but yet they bumped down to all the way to 5 in the polls, obviously because
We all know why.
You lost Burrow.
Yeah, you lost the Heisman Trophy winner.
exactly Burrow, and then all of that, they only bring back 8 starters from that offense and defense side. So that's a big loss for them. So for them to be 5, I guess it's still pretty credible, guys. What y'all think?
Look, I don't know if I should go first because I have a lot of. I can take the whole entire segment.
Go ahead.
First of all, yes, I'm okay with it. Only thing I probably would say Georgia probably wouldn't be number 4. I'll probably have little high for me, but I actually prefer Oklahoma. Being in there. But let's start at the top here with Clemson. First of all, you're gonna see a rematch of last year's Fiesta Bowl, the real national championship game. Clemson and Ohio State. They played last year.
That was a good game.
Really good game.
Close game.
Really good game with two solid quarterbacks. These are the 2 quarterbacks that's going to fight it out for the whole entire year with Sunshine and my favorite, Fields.
My favorite too.
This guy right here, that was his first year last year.
Yeah.
That was his freshman year. True freshman year. So this year, it's gonna be a wrap, man. They did lose some other people, but I'm really excited about what those 2 teams right there. So we automatically know those are the heavyweights. Then you start getting into Alabama, you know what Alabama's gonna do, the same thing they do. But the thing is, they have a new quarterback too. They lost Tua. LSU lost their quarterback. So there's a lot of question marks on the back end of that. But again, Ohio State, I feel like is the top runner in my opinion. Even if you lose a Chase Young on the defense side of the ball, they still have other guys that's going to come in and something like that.
As much as I'd love to disagree with you, man, we're almost on point on that.
You want to disagree with me, bro?
Man. Yeah, you must have been in my notes. But I really, Ohio State is definitely. I think they should be number 1.
Yes, absolutely.
And, Georgia overrated because they gave up on Fields.
Right.
That's my 2 connections right there.
Right.
Right there. I think Ohio State's underrated. Georgia's overrated simply because of Fields.
Yep.
Right there. Oklahoma, I'll never put them in the top 5 just because I don't like them. And zero you.
I don't like them. I'm a Longhorn fan, so I can't stand OU. But hey,
RDST has a lot of OU fans.
Sure
Terry Baggins,
Terry.
Eric Barnes. Those guys, those boys are big time OU fans. I love messing with them about that. Right. But no, Ohio State. I'm gonna leave it right there. At Ohio State, I think that top to bottom, I think that as long as they don't lose anything in this COVID. I think they're going to run it. I think they're going to run the game.
Run the table.
And guys, I just wanted to chime in since I'm monitoring some of the social media posts. And along with this topic, we have William Franklin, who actually says he thinks Oklahoma is a year away from being able to be in a contention. So, let's talk about that a little bit more. And as you can see, there's some folk who have a difference of opinion.
William Franklin, OU fan.
Of course. And you know what? I think Oklahoma always tries to find their way in that top 5 conversation. Seems like every time we get near the end, they're getting ready to, to post the top 4 as we get ready to go into, the college football playoff and the championship. Oklahoma's always kind of hanging around. Them being a year away, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I mean, they're ranked 6th right now. That means the coaches, across the Power 5 feel like, they've at least got enough to be in the conversation. So maybe they are a year away, Will.
Yeah, and so they could be a year away. But as far as right now, I think these top 5 is solid. But guess what, man? When we're talking about the NCAA right now, there's a lot of things going on with the world today and with this pandemic. And I'm not talking about coronavirus. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter.
All right.
And that's so big right now. And everybody knows about it at this point, or should. And so there's this came out with the NCAA with the TCU football team head coach Gary Patterson. He was a football player. One of the football players tweeted that he used a word I consider a racial slur. Some might not, but it started with the N word. Started with the N and
then with the R.
And ends with the R. And he said he was quoting another player. And so but the TCU definitely came back on and said, under no circumstances, in any context, can you use that word. And so he later apologized for it. But guys, what are your thoughts on that?
He was very apologetic about it. I think the discussion then becomes, so why does he still have a job? Should he have kept his job? Should he have been fired? Was this a fireable offense? We're in a really sticky climate when it comes to anything that's race related, especially when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that comes along with it. I've really been on the fence about him, not what he's doing wrong. That was wrong. That was 100% wrong. There's no other way to call that. You shouldn't be using that word if you're a white person, period. I'm sorry. I have my own issue with the word, and I'll keep that to myself. But, you're at a prestigious university like TCU. Hasn't really been in the news for this kind of thing before. You're probably the most popular staff member on campus. You probably count 1, 2, 3, that many people that are probably the face of that university. You're leading a program like that. Even if you're quoting a player, that's probably way out of bounds. Him quoting a player saying he didn't want the player to use that word and just so happened to use the word, it's dicey for me. It's dicey for me. That's the best way I can put it at this point.
How hard is it to say N-word?
Right.
If you really have to use that word to express that word,
right,
say N-word. Right. Let me tell you something. All right, here's a PSA for my non-melanated friends. Okay, it's never okay to use it with an ER, with an A, with an AH. I don't care if you're quoting the Drake lyrics. I don't care if you're quoting someone who said it to you. It's never okay to use it. It's a double standard. Hey, it sucks. Hey, we got to deal with other stuff that you don't have to deal with. So deal with it.
But Brett, should he get fired for this?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because we're living in a world right now. Like I say, if you'd asked me this, if you'd done this a year ago, maybe I have a different thought about it. It's a tough decision, but it's necessary to end that relationship simply because of the social awareness right now what's going on. I mean, you literally have no type of social awareness about yourself when you say those kind of, in the atmosphere and the climate that we're in right now, you got to be held accountable for that.
Well, listen, we're trending in the right directions with Black Lives Matter. We're seeing growth on top of growth on top of growth, BT. But what else is trending?
Right. Yes, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said
you froze for my awesome segue?
No.
little inside joke going on right now.
You know what to do.
I had an awesome setup that you just ruined. That's all right.
We only gave him one segue. He said he was going to nail it. So
you did take stuff.
I took his segue.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, man.
We only gave him one.
Still do it,
We only gave him one.
Now we're going to trending in RDST.
Let's trend.
What's going on in RDST? Oh yeah, everything's great now. Okay, I want to start out. I want to shout out to our first topic is a post that came from Bobby Pearson.
Bobby Pearson, what's up, man?
Great contributor, great guy. He's from Boston, but you might not know he's actually related to Drew Pearson.
Really?
Yeah,
The original 88.
Yeah.
Right.
He's related to
That's
Drew
why
Pearson.
Drew was crying. When he went.
Come on.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna go there. And Bobby, he posted Deion Sanders quote. Okay, Deion Sanders tweeted out, "All players opting out in sports, please believe the game will go on without you. This is a business, and don't you ever forget that. There's no one that's bigger than the game in itself. Only the refs, umps, and officials are that important where you can't play without them. Not you. Hashtag truth."
Who's gonna take Bobby?
Are you serious? This literally was said.
Deion Sanders,
going in.
Mr. Primetime in Prosper, Texas, said this.
Dion.
Yes.
He said this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite NFL players, man. But I lost a little bit for that, man. There's a lot of things going on right now in life that's more important than football, sir.
It's funny you say that because he backtracked a little bit today.
Tell me something.
And kind of said there's a lot more going on than him kind of focusing on this. Man, he's way out of bounds for that.
Wait.
But
Way out of
isn't
bounds.
it not like Deion to take the spotlight?
Right.
Who else can take a spotlight from coronavirus? Only Deion.
Right. I mean, Deion makes an interesting point. I think I'm going to try to pull some good out of it.
Okay.
All right, I tried. I couldn't do it.
I was waiting.
Moving right along.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Another, the next topic in trending in RDSD, Jonathan Orr, another really good contributor. Jonathan
in there
Orr,
often.
Yeah, he's in there often. He contributes a lot.
Shout out to Jonathan.
And he posted, the bubble has helped me come to this conclusion. The NBA has too many teams. Do you guys think that since the
Interesting
bubble
philosophy.
is that the action of the way is going, that we don't need those extra teams that didn't make it? You know, I mean, does the NBA need to streamline?
Well, you got to tell that to a franchise like the New York Knicks that despite being terrible at winning on the floor, they're still one of the most valuable franchises in the world and really have a passionate fan base.
Yes, they do.
I like the point from the competitive standpoint with the 22 teams being, basically a bunch of playoff teams and some outliers.
Just make them another league, the D League.
I disagree. I think that maybe the bubble can be something that's consistent. Maybe the bubble can come in as a pre-playoff type of system, but
like the mid-season tournament they propose.
Yeah, exactly. But say that to the Dallas Mavericks 20 years ago, or you know what I'm saying? Who was terrible.
About 30 years.
Yeah, about 30 years ago, where a
In the
Clippers,
90s.
a Clippers and Mavericks game only cost you $2 to go to.
right.
I mean,
And both are not contenders, but are in the playoffs.
In playoffs,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? And 1-1, so
That's a good point, Clint.
Man, okay. Last topic is probably from the best RDST member of all time.
This got something to do with Harden.
And it was posted by a guy named Brett Thompson.
Oh, man, how you gonna put yourself in
times in a
trending?
row.
You get kicked in the nose. This better be a good topic.
All right. The topic is James Harden. James Harden is the first player.
Breaking news.
This comes from Texas Rockets 101. I don't want to steal their shine. James Harden is the first player in NBA history that has led the league in total points, 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Total assists in 2016 and 17. And total steals this year.
You sound like that dude that's been singing and counting lately. 71, 72. Go ahead.
And where do you put James Harden? We all know what he's done in the playoffs and what he's done against, like running into, these major
Not won
juggernaut
a
teams
championship.
or whatever.
Go ahead.
But this feat of total points, assists, and total steals, I mean, it's something that no one has ever done in the NBA's history. Where do you rank James Harden based on that?
Look, James Harden is one of my favorite players in the NBA. I mean, I'm a little different than Dave and Fool's Gold.
You're not different from me in that regard. Not in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give what credit is due. James Harden is one of the most brilliant players. He has the best footwork. in the league. He's able to he's unguardable type of player. I just think that he's just one of those type of players that just one thing eludes him. I think he's accomplished everything a man can accomplish besides actually hoisting the O'Brien.
There's nothing that you can say about his body of work as far as him being a great player in this league today. He's been a great player for a while.
Yeah.
I think Rocket fans just need to realize you're dealing with something that we had to deal with for the better part of a decade and some change, waiting on Dirk Nowitzki to bring us a championship. There was really nothing that you could say about Dirk. People wanted to knock him for his defense. Okay, he was never a defender. He's actually was a better defender than most people give him credit for, especially as a weak side defender. But Harden, his career is not going to be solidified, I think, as an all-time great to the ceiling that it could be until he wins a championship. And there's just far too many times where you have players of that caliber who can give you all the numbers like that, even ones that are just unfathomable or historic. But you got to be able to win the chip. That's what it boils down to.
And I think it's only fair that Clint goes last.
Here we go.
Oh, most definitely. Because James Harden is fool's gold. And you know what, BT? People misconstrue what I mean by that. When I say fool's gold,
Break it down.
Yeah, break down fool's gold.
I'm not talking about how he is during the season. I'm not talking about all his accolades, all the numbers that you just pulled up on Wikipedia. I ain't talking about that stuff, man. He's a beast, no doubt about it. But when you start talking about all-time greatness, as you do, then that's when the fool's gold come into play. Because you're talking about Kobe, you're talking about Jordan, you're talking about Dirk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're talking about all these all-time greats, and you try to push James Harden in there, and it's not. I tell you this is gonna hurt your feelings.
Give me the E flat. I need an E. What an organ there. There's a bunch of musicians on stage. This boy preaching right now.
This gonna hurt your feelings.
Go ahead.
This gonna hurt your feelings.
Go ahead.
For James Harden to be successful in his career, as far as hardware, he is going to have to be a Robin.
Oh,
wow.
And we ain't talking about David Wife either.
To reach his highest.
all right. Well, speaking of Robin,
Okay.
we're going to segue into 2 minutes.
Nice segue, BT.
Mess me up, man. The segue.
He didn't take your
I
third.
love it.
Yeah.
Man, now you took my segue.
Right.
Yeah, cool.
He got you.
But listen, it's 2 minutes, 2-minute warning with the ladies, and we have a special guest again here, none other than David's wife, Robin Harris. A little quick, Dave. Want to say something quick? You always say something.
He fine, y'all.
Okay. All right, listen. But going back, guys, I kind of want to kick it right back because this is such a delicate conversation about the Gary Patterson at TCU.
Fired.
And I kind of want to go a different direction, Robin. Listen, you are a successful woman, and you're also a very mom. You're definitely a great mom. And I can only think about the students at TCU, the football players themselves. And as a parent, if you put yourself in their shoes, Robin, how would you feel? Would you take your son out the program? How would you be feeling right about now?
Well, first, let me just start by saying, as you all talked and acknowledged earlier that Batman is in need of a Robin, understand that RDST is absolutely in need of a Robin as well for the 2 minutes. So I'm glad to be here again. Thanks for inviting me back. But in all seriousness, as a parent and one who has black children and black boys in particular, I absolutely feel as though this is it's a time where racial insensitivity and social consciousness with respect to where we are today, it's too much out there for Coach Patterson not to have known. That's just not something you say. Whether you were repeating it, whether it was the first time you've ever in your life have said it before, and the subsequent apology is just nothing more than him getting in his feelings after his feet were called to the carpet. And so for me as a parent, I wouldn't say that I would I would be a parent who is an advocate, and I'd be in the coach's face. I'd be in the administrator's face. I'd be at the dean's office, making sure that they were doing everything that they could to protect my son or our boys, our black men, our black children who are growing up in a time when, frankly, it's almost a crime to be a black man in America. And unfortunately, when you look at it from a sports perspective, it just gives us a real good glimpse of what really happens behind closed doors inside the locker room. And I know the boys would have been, if the TCU players, for example, and it doesn't, I think we also need to realize, yes, this is a sports show, but it's not just happening in the sports arena. Obviously, it's happening on the jobs. It's happening, driving while black, basically. So I would still encourage those TCU players, while their efforts are not going to be in vain, for them to want to wish that he was fired, because I actually do believe that he should have been fired. I think we had some dialogue recently about should he have been fired, should he not have been fired. And obviously TCU has spoken and said what they're planning to do, which is to keep him on staff. But to the players and to all of the student athletes out there, if you come up against a situation like that, use your voice. The time is now. Everyone is watching. And so for me, I would stick with my son or my daughter, my sons or my daughters who who could have been in that same position, and be advocating for them. Because at the end of the day, they're in college, they're in university for an experience, and it's to be able to, unfortunately, experience the highs and lows of life. Because as soon as they get out there in the real world, it's going to give them a glimpse into what happens there. But I feel like he should have been fired. It's one of those things you just simply don't do. I think your colleague on the table said earlier, BT said something in the vein of you could have used -word as opposed to the word itself. So I don't know. I'm glad to share my perspective, and hopefully those 2 minutes can invite me back next week, because you need your Robin.
Well, Robin, I really appreciate your comments, and you always do what you're supposed to do, and that's go over 2 minutes. Keep doing that. But Dave, listen, I'm gonna give it to you.
Right.
But I did see some players reach out to the coach, to Gary Patterson, and they had dialogue. And at the end of the day, guys, that's what it starts with. Just like with Drew Brees, he had that crazy comment talking about he didn't know and things like that. And sometimes just having that conversation piece help bridge that gap.
Right. I think that you're always going to have those players that I feel like they know the heart of the person who made the mistake, and will come to bat for them. And let's be honest, guys. We all need people like that, when we slip up. So, shout out to those players. There's a viewer watching, Chris Ray. Yeah. That says that black coaches use that word with players all the time, and I think that conversation needs to be had as well.
Absolutely.
If we're going to be in an uproar, about Gary Patterson, rightfully so. Using this word is rightfully so that we should be in an uproar about it. Let's call our black coaches to the carpet too. Let's hold everybody accountable. We keep talking about equality. NBA players are wearing it, that word on the back of their jersey. Hey, let's hold everybody to the same standard and get them.
All right. I'd like to chime in by saying, like, okay, if I have a son on that team, on that TCU team, that I don't care if he is the captain or the 115th man on the team, and TCU decided not to fire him, I would demand to have a face-to-face with Gary Patterson. And I would ask him, convince me that this is something that you're not going to be using behind my son's back about it. And if he can't give me a convincing answer, then we're transferring. Probably to Texas Southern University. But regardless of that, neither here nor there. But like what I'm saying is that if he cannot convince me that this isn't an issue for him, then I don't want my son around.
It's not like TCU is the top. They're up.
It's a division. It's a division.
But they're not.
They're better than Texas. I guess that'll be.
They rank 14.
Yeah, that'll be an argument for another week. Listen, guys, this is a great show today. I wanna shout out to everyone that's watching. Shout out to Robin, who's always helping us in some capacity and even more. We can't say enough about our producer behind the camera, Mr. Matthew Wilson, and helping him tonight. Drew Sowells, one of the members of the Sowells clan in here helping us.
The Afro No Man.
Listen, we're going to shut this one down for the night. We'll see you guys next week. Again, follow, like, share, subscribe. Please. Start a watch party. Every time you see RDST show pop up on your feed, for Brett, for Brent, for Clint, myself, Robin, we will see y'all next week, 6 p.m. Central. All gas, no breaks, no fakes.
All in your face.
Peace out.
We never talked about